Good morning. How are you? It's Mojisola Wilson. And today is, I forget, Tuesday. How are you? I'm so sorry I'm late. I must confess. I was getting my hair done. So, sorry I'm a bit late. But I wanted to talk about grit, right? Let me put my glasses on. I wanted us to talk about grit today. Grit. How many of us are raising children that do not have grit? That is the question. So while we're waiting for you guys to get notified and all that, I'm going to stop for a moment. And yeah, good morning. If you're here, please say hello so I can see you and I know that you're there. And in the meantime, let's just share the video for me. Let's get more people in here so we can have conversation about grit and the values that we're not giving our children or the values that we are giving our children. Because I believe that without grit, most of us would not succeed. And what does grit even look like? Let's start with that. So if you're here, say hello, so I know you're there. And while you're doing that, I will notify people on my page as well, so they can join the conversation. Forgive me for a moment. And if you're on my private page, please do understand that I will not be able to read your post because of the fact that you have to be on my public page for me to be able to see this, right? So join the conversation, please. Right? So we're just going to wait a few minutes for you guys to get on. And then we'll start the conversation. It's quite exciting conversation for me. Anyways, it's a lot of research. It's a lot of me reading different books. In my book club on Clubhouse, by the way, we're reading a book called Grit by Angela Duckworth. It's amazing, amazing. All right. Let's see. Who's here? Say hello, say something, and let's start this conversation. And even if you don't come in, I'm still going to have the conversation because you already know me, right? You know I can't help myself. So here we go. Good morning again. It's Mojisola Wilson of Authentic Conversations. And we have authentic conversations so we can transform our lives authentically, right? So while we're waiting for you guys to come on, let me do what I'm supposed to do. Good morning again and welcome to Authentic Conversations with Moji. How are you? I wanted to have this conversation on grit, because I realize that a lot of our children do not have grit. And I'm not blaming parents. I'm talking about my own experience and how I got to this topic, right? What I realize is that a lot of times, because we don't want our children to go through what we've gone through, we tend not to allow them to go through things in life. We don't allow them to work their way out of problems. We tend to save them too quickly. We tend to want to make their lives easier when the real world is actually not that easy, right? So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the fact that a lot of these younger people do not have grit. I remember growing up and my father, even though we lived in Lagos, in a very nice area of Lagos, and we had pretty much everything. We had running water. We had pretty much everything, drivers and housekeepers and maids and, houseboys and things like that. My dad made sure we were responsible for ourselves. My father made sure that we went to the farm every summer for about a week, to the village every summer for about a week. And it would have us tend to land and create produce. I didn't understand it. I hated my dad for that. I would have to be up at like 5 a.m. in the morning, get a bucket and go fetch some water, and then take my bath in the village when I could be sitting at home in Lagos just chilling, right? And I didn't like it. I thought it was very unfair. I thought it was not being nice. I thought my dad was mean until I came to America at a very young age. And I found myself in a country that had so much to offer. And I actually became an overachiever because of the training that I had from Nigeria. You know, if you can survive in Nigeria, you can survive anywhere. They used to say if you can survive in New York, you can survive anywhere. But I tell you, if you can survive in Nigeria, you truly can survive anywhere. So I started to look at the way I was raising my children, who got almost everything they needed. Actually, they got everything they needed and almost everything they wanted. They never had to work too hard for anything except for my younger children. Because by the time I was having my second set of children, believe you me, I was tired, I was exhausted. So instead of them, everybody had chores, and instead of me making sure they did their chores, because I didn't want to be stressed, I would do the stuff for them. I cooked, I cleaned, I worked 3 businesses, and in trying to make their lives very simple, cell phones, laptops, everything. If I had children, if I ever come back, at least in 2022, and I have to have children, they're not getting any cell phones. They're not getting any access to social media. They're not going to be doing they're not doing any of the jagajantis that I did. There was no reason my son was flying, business class, and we sit in first class, and he's never had a job in his life, and he's traveling for business class. Why? He doesn't own a business. He's never had a job, not even worked at McDonald's. 14-year-old kid is flying around with us in business class. Why? Why? What lesson are we teaching him at that point? What lesson was I, Moji, teaching him at that point? I'll tell you. The lesson I was teaching him is, look, you don't have to work hard. You don't have to do anything. I got you. This is Moji that's always said, I don't believe in generational wealth. I'm not leaving anything for any child. You go to school. You want to open up a business. While I'm alive, I'll help you. Everything else is going to charity. That's how I raised my children. Yes. And you don't have to like it. That's my thing. That's what my father did. And because I knew that my dad was not going to leave anything behind for me, I had to work hard. I had to take a lot of training. I learned how to do a lot of things. And I can never go hungry, God willing, as long as I have my mental health in place and I have my hands, never go hungry, right? But what did I do? Did I pass Did I pass those lessons on to my children? My older children, yes. That's why. And somehow, I find that we women, we train our daughters to be extraordinarily super women. They could do anything. They don't need a man, but they should have a man if they're heterosexuals. For lesbians like me, I didn't even have a choice. I mean, my father made sure that I got the education, that I got the integrity, that I got the know-how of surviving. And we're not doing that for our children. We want to make life very easy. We send them to schools where they won't be bullied. Honey, there's bullies in real life. You go to any social media today, there are bullies everywhere. But we overprotect our children to the point where they lack emotional intelligence. They have no idea of how to interact with normal people because everything they do is on the internet. They have these games where they shoot people. So they think that half the time guns are toys. And then when you look around you, you start to ask yourself, why are black women more successful than black men? I know you're thinking, Moji, don't start though. Ask yourself, why do black women seem to be a lot more successful than black men? My theory is that black women have been taught there's not enough men. If you're heterosexual, there's not enough men around to marry you. So you have to be super extraordinary, super successful, super thin, super beautiful. So women have been taught from the day they were born that they're less than men. So we've always learned how to do things like out of the way. Most young women that I know have their masters, they have their PhD, they're working on their PhD, they're really doing well. And the ones that are not doing well are striving to do better. While we teach our men that they're kings. How the hell are you a king when you don't have a castle? You don't even have a kingdom, you're a king. You want to be a king in my house that I pay the bills in? Are you crazy? No. I could never tell my dad that, I'm a princess, so I get everything I want. But society teaches us to make ourselves less than. Society, I repeat, teaches us to make ourselves less than for our children. So we're teaching our children, especially our sons, that, we are less. So you can do anything you want. You can have anything you want. I have a friend that used to buy her sons $300 pair of sneakers. She's a CNA. Yes, I have friends from all walks of life. $300 pair of sneakers. You're making $20 an hour. To buy $300 pair of sneakers, you're working what? How many hours? 15 hours. A day and a half to buy your child $300 pair of sneakers, your child that has never had a job in his life or her life. You're giving them $1,300 cell phones. You're giving them laptops to die for. Why are they working? Why do they need to strive to work? Every time I want something, I have to get up and do a budget, figure out a plan of a way. How many houses do I need to sell to make this kind of money? We're not giving these children what they need to become successful, productive people in society. We can't blame the white man for this one. I'm sorry, you can't. We're not teaching them how to have relationships with people, right? We're not teaching them how to work through conflicts. We're not teaching them grit. If I have to do this thing, this parenting thing all over again, I will simulate hard times for my children, because hard times is what got me here. My older children went through hard times with me, so they're a lot more sustaining. The girls work hard, they do their thing, but the boys, everything is your fault. Everything is somebody else's fault. There's no lack of accountability on the part of so many young people. Look, you guys are going to hate me. You can block me. You can disown me. You can do whatever you want. This thing where America is going, where we're more focused on pronouns and sexuality. And yes, I'm a lesbian. But if you're under 18, we should not be talking about sexuality. We should not be talking about sex. If my son comes to me today and is 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever, and says, Mom, I think I'm gay, I'll be like, okay, cool. You can take your gay ass to school and learn how to be something. You can take your gay ass and learn something. Sexuality should not be the most important thing. There's no reason why we're teaching pre-K, preschoolers about sexuality. What are they going to do? What is a 5-year-old going to do with gender and sexuality and all that? What are they going to do with it? Instead of us to focus on education and bring these children up to become well-rounded, emotionally intelligent people, we're not giving them grit. We're not giving them life lessons that they can take with them to go into the world and be compassionate, be empathetic, not feel like they're better than other people, not have a superiority complex when they haven't even earned it. And even when they earn it, humility takes us very far in life. Today I ask the question, are we giving our children grit? Are we helping them to learn the value of a dollar? Are we teaching them financial literacy? Are we teaching them how to wait and work for what they want? Or are we just dashing it to them because we want the world to think that we're so cool like that? And we're amazing parents. A lot of people that our social media are clapping for. Yeah. When they see you with your child and your child is having on an Armani jacket, they clap for you. I no longer do. I no longer clap for people because I speak my truth. Some guy inboxed me and Auntie Moji, I'm going to kill myself. I need $40,000 naira because I need. I'm like, first of all, I don't know you from Adam. The Moji of the past is not the Moji of today. In the past, I would run and quickly give some people money. We gave money to a guy last year. Almost 3 million naira. He didn't have grit. He didn't even know how to run a business. Barely can deliver. Had lacked integrity. And we kept giving. One day we got a call. Oh, I'm going to kill myself. Oh, I just wanted to say goodbye. And eventually my wife said, okay, how are you killing yourself? He's like, oh, I have candles. My wife goes, this is not pose. Just tell me how much you need. And we sent him the money. The next day he was at a party. He posted it on social media. See, grit is what makes you have self-respect for yourself because you've worked for something. People think 419ing people for money will make them feel good. No, Because you take the money. For me, I'll give you the money and then you can go whatever. But you haven't learned how to manage your money. You haven't learned how to run your business. You don't even have a business plan. Grit is what makes you go and take extra classes so that you can get a promotion. Grit is what makes you stand still in the middle of a storm, knowing one day will be better. Grit is why you can lose everything, like I did. I never even linked the two. It's education is a passport to our freedom. When we started to read that book, Grit by Angela Duckworth on authentic transformation, it got me thinking about how I raised my children, the people I put around me, who has grit, who doesn't. Grit makes you respect yourself because you have paid the price to be where you are. When you go to school and you study and you didn't cheat from somebody else, when times get hard, you know that if you do the work, it will be good. You will be fine. Grit is what makes people go to university and study. I'm going to make a confession today. I look at my life from where I came from losing everything, from selling my cars and buying a bicycle, me riding a bicycle, while my daughters had cars, and I'm the realtor. What was I teaching them? Grit is why I am able to run 3 businesses. My day starts at 3 a.m. Am I teaching my children to get up and do their chores? Are you teaching your children that when it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you have to do your homework, you cannot get up to go and eat until you finish that homework? America will tell you that you're a bad parent. America will tell you that you're not a good person. America will tell you what they want you to become. Yet when that child becomes rotten, guess who is going to be blamed? It's us. Our son went to a private boarding school. I'm so embarrassed. Private boarding school, $45,000 a year. He went off to college with a 3.8. 3.8 GPA, yeah. The kid decided to go to school because he didn't have grit. He couldn't manage himself. His mother wasn't there, and he went to a military boarding school, so the sergeants will ring a bell or whatever they do in the morning at 3 a.m. and wake them up, and they'll run scatter, scatter, and go do what they need to do. There was no mommy there to say, wake up and go to class. There was no mommy there to wake him up and go here and do this and do that. He had no grit. The kid stayed in his room. He never went, well, maybe he didn't stay in his room. I wasn't there. But he didn't attend classes for a month. Guess what? He flunked out. That's one of the reasons why I said, you know what? Let's create Sojourner Wilson Scholarship Program. The money we're using to pay for his tuition, we can use it to pay for a lot of people. And right now we have 78 kids. And even those kids in the program, maybe like 10, show up when we have seminars, when we are teaching them how to write a resume, how to do this, how to do that. A lot of people lack grit. A lot of this younger generation, like even ordinary read a book, they don't read anymore. In my times, we didn't even have cell phones. We had yellow pages. If you're looking for somebody's number, you couldn't Google anything. See, the internet is not the enemy. That's not what I'm saying. The internet is absolutely not the enemy. I am saying that we have made life so easy for people that they don't realize that bad things happen to good people. Life is full of ups and downs. This is it. This is the way the world is. Nothing is permanently okay. Nothing is permanently fantastic. Nothing is permanently absolutely okay. And if everything is going well, then you know you're in trouble. That's what I believe. So I prepare for the good times. I enjoy the good times, but I prepare for the rainy days. How many people today, how many of you, put it here, if something happens and they say come with $10,000 cash, $10,000 if you live in America, how many of you have that saved up? Not many, because a lot of people lack grit. A lot of people live moment to moment to moment. A lot of people believe in instant gratification, and I don't blame people. I'm saying that society has created this madness where we want everything all at once, where everything has become a microwavable society, instant gratification. That's why we post on IG. That's why we flaunt everything. And I say we because I'm part of you, you know? And people say, oh, Moji, why do you post so much? I post because I have a message. I don't sit here to come and blow away breeze. I have a lot I could be doing with my time, but I have a message. And part of having grit is being able to schedule myself so I can show up here and do what I said I will do. When you make life too easy for your children, they lack emotional intelligence. They become arrogant. They think their lives are more important than yours. They believe their identity is more important than yours. I'm a lesbian woman. I don't understand all this. There's 250 sexualities that has come up in the past year. We were fighting for one door to be open. Now the whole thing don't pafka. I love my transgenders brothers and sisters. But there's a lot of people that are not even trans that have gone under the umbrella so they can get social services, so they can get free surgery, so they can be part of the marginalized group. How far are we willing to just destroy the world and the children we're bringing into the world? We keep talking about mental issues. Oh my God, everybody has, yeah, we all have mental illness of some sort. But mental is different from mental. There's psychosis, and there's people who are going through stuff. I gained 35 pounds when the problem with my son started in this house. 35. I started to look crazy. I was emotionally distraught. I couldn't believe a lot of the things that were coming out of this kid's mouth. If you are not careful, if you have small children and you're giving them iPhones and iPads, those are the people that are raising your children, just so you know. All those they, them, he, she, whatever, those are the ones raising your children. A lot of you don't take the time to plan how you're having your children. So you plug them in front of a TV or plug a computer in their hands. This is the result of that. This time that we're in, where people can't even speak their truth, where people cannot speak their opinions, where my identity as a cis woman is slowly being eroded, where my identity as a lesbian is slowly being eroded, and now we have to create room for the younger generation to call themselves queer. I'm not queer. I know who I am. When I looked at what was under the umbrella of queer, I almost cried. There's a new set of people that want to come under the umbrella of the LGBTQIA that call themselves queer. Those are the people that are minor attracted people. They call themselves MAP. Imagine if your children had grit, they would know who they are. If I'm living in, when I was living I was living with a friend after we lost our home. I was sleeping in a room on a mattress on the floor. Imagine coming from a 4,000 square foot house to living in one room on the floor. That's grit. Grit is the reason why I get up every day at 3 a.m. and I do this and I do that. And when I don't know something, I do the research. I don't go to social media to tell me who I am. Half of these kids don't know who they are because they've never had to excavate their authentic self. And you notice I use the word excavate. When you're excavating a house or a building or the ground, you have to dig it. And when you're digging something, you're shoving, right? Taking a sharp object, digging it into the ground and excavating the soil to come up with your authentic self. We have not challenged our children to do that. We've made the world too easy. And there's nothing wrong with social media. It's how we all use social media that matters. At the end of the day, I want you guys to start thinking. I want all of us to start thinking. Are we teaching our children grit? Or are we spoiling them rotten? By the way, if I sound funny, it's because I have braces in my teeth. You can't see them, but I can feel them. So my diction might be off. 2 more weeks. It's been 8 months of me wearing braces to close the gap because as you get older, I heard your teeth spreads. Bottom line is, back to the topic. We have to start to pay attention to not making things too easy. Make sure your children, I went to do a lot of research to find out why is it that it's so important for children to make their beds in the morning, starting from the age of 5, even if they don't make it properly. You must make them make their bed. It gives them a sense of responsibility. It helps them to build grit. It helps them with time management. If you know that mommy is going to be making breakfast at 7 a.m. and taking me to school at 7:30, when you wake up at 6:30, the first thing you do is make your bed. Before you come downstairs, you brush your teeth and da-da-da-da-da. We don't do that anymore. We give them cell phones and iPhones and iPads and tell them to go sit in the corner and because we are not willing to do the work that it takes. Stop having children you don't have time or money to be able. I'm saying it with my full chest. Yeah. Stop having children you cannot afford emotionally, financially, and mentally. I'm telling you, stop having children you do not have time to invest in. Your time, your energy, your money, your everything. Stop it. We are creating a world of selfish brats that believe that their rights, their existence is more important than anybody else. That's what we're doing. And they're all coming up with mental illness. I don't remember when it was cool. You know, now it's so cool. Everybody they have ADHD. The people that have ADHD, go and say, they don't go around announcing I have ADHD. And some people have it. I'm not knocking that. But we're allowing people to assume the identities of others, and we're cool with it. We're allowing people to say there's no gender. Gender is a social construct. We're allowing children and the youth to shut down people that have valid things to say. So we all sound the same now. When your child gets up in the morning and they say, oh, this, and goes to work for the first time, because you've never made them accountable. They'll come home and tell you, oh, my boss is mean. My boss is nasty. My boss is racist. No, Black people will do it all the time. I used to say, oh, people don't like me because I'm gay. No, people don't like me because I speak my truth. And it's not, emotional intelligence is what has taught me where to speak and where not to speak after I've been totally brutalized on social media. And I've been cut out of so many different circles because I just speak my truth. I mean, sorry, if don't call yourself bisexual if you're a cheater. That's not the definition of a bisexual. You can be bisexual and not be monogamous, but do not just claim other people's identity, because there's people that are truly, really bisexual. Because they don't have grit, they do not have the courage to stand in their authentic skin. Because they don't have grit, they'll go to work and not perform. And now tell people to come home to you or go on social media and write down it's because they're Black. Yes, there's racism. Systemic racism, as a matter of fact. But everything cannot be a phobia. It's not because you're gay that you can't get a job. It's because you don't have the qualifications. I'm a good example. My wife and hundreds of people. Yes, there's discrimination. But you don't have grit. People will show up at work and they won't perform well. A lot of them do. And when they get fired, now it's the fault of the white man. There's a new movement where white people are supposed to pay them reparation. I'm like, reparation from the government. But each white person in 2022, I've never met one that owns a slave. I've never even met one whose father before him owned a slave. Maybe generations before him, yes. But we have to become accountable for our lives, and we have to start teaching our children that when they want something, they have to work for it. Stop giving them things that they don't deserve. Stop encouraging this madness in this world today. Nigeria, you go to Nigeria, everybody wants to be rich, but they don't want to work. A lot of these kids, 419, they meet people on social media and start begging them for money every day. You don't have class, you don't have integrity, you don't even respect yourself. You're in everybody's back channel begging for money, when all you have to do is cut your cloth according to your size. If you had grit, you would do that. And then people will see you struggling and they would want to help. Nobody owes you anything. That's where grit comes in. Are you teaching your children that? Are you truly teaching your children to value themselves and to respect themselves and to walk with integrity? Nobody wants to hear this conversation. You're not ready for that. And that's why the Black race is not growing. That's why the Black race will never grow. Because until we start to speak the truth to each other, we will never grow. Everything cannot be the fault of society. Everything cannot be systemic racism. It's not systemic racism when you make $1,000 a month, or you make $2,000 a month. Even let's say you make 50,000 a year, but you go out and buy a Range Rover, 110,000 a year. So now you're running kitty kitty, you want to bam bam. Instead of building yourself up slowly, you don't do that. And then you want to blame the white man for what bed you laid. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life and I've always owned it. I don't come here and tell you that I'm better than you. I tell you that I've walked through a lot. I've done a lot. Today I said no to 5 people in my back channel asking for money. Then you go to their social media and you'll see how they're stunting. They're all social media influencers. Half of those social media influencers, they don't make money on social media like that. One social media influencer actually posted on her page that all of last year she made $180. She has 45,000 followers. She made $180. But when you're not skilled to even do this social media influencing right, because you choose not to study, you don't have the grit to study how this thing works. You build your audience and then you try and get people to sponsor you, to do ads, to do such, not by doing crazy things on social media. That's not how you make money. Half of them are naked on social media. Your children are naked on social media. When was the last time you checked their social media pages? And when they can't get a job because they get searched, they do a social media sweep these days. They do a background check and a social media sweep. And when they can't get a job because the business does not want to be affiliated with somebody like that, they say it's because they're Black. No, it's because you were doing Jekredu things, or you were abusing white people or gay people or Black people. We are not teaching our children integrity and grit. When you make your children work for what they want, they grow up with a sense of pride, with a sense of self-worth. They grow up knowing that they have to work for what they have. We're not allowing the younger generation, we're not teaching them how to build grit. Grit is what got me here. Grit is what got my wife here. Grit is what got most people that I know that are doing well across the globe where they are. Grit is what makes you stick with a business when things are hard. Grit is what makes you drink gari and sugar and spend a little bit of money you have in self-development. But people don't want to do that. Everything is instant. How many books have you guys read this year? I'm asking, sorry. How many books have you read this year? Exactly. But yet, we want to grow. You can't reap where you did not sow, and if you do, it's not going to last. That's just a fact of the universe. I didn't come up with it. But if we're expecting people, the Black community, to grow, we have to start to teach them grit. We have to start to teach them self-worth. We have to start to teach our children from the age of, as soon as they can comprehend, that you have to work for what you have. You have to work smart and you have to work hard. 419ing people, emotionally blackmailing people will only get you but this far. And you might get money for free once or twice, but it's not going to last. If I give you $100 today, you will spend that $100 and then what? You'll have to find somebody else to give it to you. Teach the younger generation how to fish. Stop giving them the fish. Let's start making people accountable, especially those of us who are abroad as Africans. I know it makes you feel great to dash people money because it makes you feel like, yeah, I'm the man, I'm better, I'm superior. It strokes your ego. Stop it. Make people accountable. Give them a job to do to earn that money. Help them understand that begging people for money is not really classy. Help them understand that if they need help, yes, ask. But make sure that whatever you're doing with that money is not to show off, not for IG, not for social media. It's crazy. Big time internet rock stars are in my back channel. I'm like, so why are you stunting? You are giving people the false reality that everything comes easy. It doesn't. Nothing comes easy. You got to work for your stuff. Emotional intelligence is only learned by experiencing stuff. But we're not giving people grit. We're not teaching the younger generation grit. And without grit, 10 years from now, I really don't know where we'll be. Grit is what makes people stand firm in their authenticity, knowing that the world is going to come down on them, knowing that it's not going to be fun, knowing that my tomorrow will be better than my today. So let me do the work today so that when I'm older, I can live a comfortable life. I'm 58. People want to live the same lifestyle that I do. Shuku to you. But Toba Baggy, please don't call me. Don't. And yes, you might be able to live a better life than I do if you put in the work. And my prayer is that everybody, right, the next generations do better than I do, or my wife and I. Because look, we invest in our time, our money, and effort into a lot of people. But you got to show up. If you don't show up for your life, nobody's going to show up for you. Nobody owes you anything. We have to start telling our children that. My father looked at me in the eye one day when I said I wanted a fur coat. He said, if I give you the fur coat today, I was 19. What are you going to wear later? The animals themselves. Everything comes with a price. Let your children fail. Stop bailing them out of everything. Failure is how you learn. The best lessons we all learn comes from failing. If you do not allow people to fail, how do they grow? Con Edison was said to have tried to create electricity 10,000 plus times. He never gave up. That's grit. Van Gogh painted a lot of artwork before he made it. A lot of us have suffered. We've lost businesses. But that's how we learned how to be the best at what we do. We have to stop enabling people. We must stop enabling our children. We have to start to give them the tools to become productive citizens emotionally and physically. We need to stop bailing people out. We need to stop doing everything for our children so they can learn how to do for themselves, especially Black men. Because this notion that they're killing our Black men has turned a lot of mothers into doormats. And you notice I always go for mothers, right? Because that's what I know. More than half of Black Americans do not even know their fathers. And when I say Black Americans, I'm talking about Black women in America. 70% of homes are being headed by Black women. There's no guilt in being a single parent. There's no guilt in providing what you can for your children. You should pat yourself on the back. The world wants you to feel like a failure. No, you're not. You have grit. Teach your children how to have grit. Flip it to Nigeria. A lot of Nigerians, period, men and women, are now showering. They're showering because they want to do things the easy way. They're showering because they want money that they don't work for, but you're working for it. You're trading your integrity, you're trading your self-esteem, you're trading your mental health. Why don't you just invest in yourself? Why don't you take the time out to get some skills? It's hard for people to become what they have never seen. So I ask you, are you training your children or are you raising your children? A footballer trains every day of his life. Even when he becomes a world champion, to maintain that sit, he continues to train. Same thing for a basketballer. The girl Toby that won the gold medal, the first gold medal Nigeria has ever won, said her father would want her to go to church, but her mother would sneak her out to go and train instead of going to church. That's grit. It takes grit to be successful and stay successful. It takes grit to understand that you have to work hard and smart. I am asking society today to stop enabling our children. They're not supposed to be our best friend. We are supposed to give them the tools to go out there, to defend themselves, to respect themselves, and to contribute to a better tomorrow for society, but we're not doing that. So when I get off this stage, ask yourself, are you teaching your children grit? And if you're not, I ask you to please start to do that. Because what happens to your child absolutely affects me, because one day I'll run into them. Yes. Your child, the way you raise your child is going to affect society. If they become an armed robber, if they become a menace to society, if they become a shower, if they become a troll, a lot of these kids are out there doing things that their parents don't even know about. How much time are you spending with your children? And I get that you have to work. I really get that. Trust me, I get that. But how well do you know your children? Are you blaming the world for your child's nonsense that they're doing? Are you blaming everybody else but your child? Make them accountable. When they do something wrong, take away their phones, take away their cell phones, take away their laptops, take something away. Make them responsible and accountable for the things that they do and the things that they want to do. Because if you drop dead today, how will they survive? Think about it. If your child drops dead today, will your child be able to make it in 2022 in this crazy world that we live in? Or are they going to be pandering to everything that's going on in society? When you don't teach your children grit, when they get in a group of squine kids, they behave like those kids just to feel accepted because they don't understand their value. Part of knowing your value is attaining grit. If you have overcome challenges, you understand how valuable you truly are. And for a lot of us, we did not know that. Yeah, a lot of us parents did not understand what we were doing. But it's time that we start to understand that. But it has to start with you. You have to become more accountable for yourself. You have to make sure that you understand that you are valuable and you do not allow your children to treat you like garbage. You make them responsible for their own lives. I'm not saying kick them out to go get, I'm saying make them help you around the house, depending on what the age group is. If you're dealing between 0 and 5, make them make their beds, make them take their plates off the table, make them do dishes, make them responsible for something. Or else they'll think the rest of the world is a housekeeper like you or a doormat like you. I'm speaking from experience. If I hurt your feelings, I don't mean to, but this is my truth. It's time to help our children to build grit. It's time to make them responsible for their lives. It's time to help them to build self-confidence, which is built through overcoming adversities. It's your choice how you want to raise your child. But for the sake of society, Moji, I am asking you to please teach your children grit. Grit builds self-esteem. Grit builds self-confidence. Grit also helps to build society. When somebody has grit, they're less likely to be jealous of other people. They're less likely to troll other people. They're less likely to be mean to the other people. My name is Mojisola Wilson. This is Authentic Conversations, and I know a lot of my conversations are not easy, and they're not easy to hear, but I put it out there, and you don't have to listen to it. If you don't like it, don't listen. If you like it, listen. Whoever the message is for will receive it. This is not a popularity contest. This is not a like my page contest. I don't make money from my social media. I speak my truth. I speak truth into power with a very unique voice, but the truth is always going to be truth. It is what it is. Thank you again for being here. Have a great day. I will see you soon.